Hi everyone. So today I've been asked to do a skin tutorial. So I started colouring my girl until I had some time to do the tutorial, and I've left her face, and I think she looks a little bit hideous at the moment, and I found it quite funny because I've always started with skin or hair, so I've never just left the face before like this. So it's been making me laugh a little bit, but let's fill it in. So to begin with, I've got a Copic marker. So I'm using, it's YR00 powder pink. Like I have done in some of my other tutorials, I like to colour with marker first. It just gives a really good base. Don't worry, I don't worry too much if it's not perfect and if it comes out patchy. Obviously, if we weren't going over it in pencil, then yeah, you would freak out, but not for this. Which is the other reason why I really like not having to get it perfect, because I really struggle to use markers. I wanted to learn, but just haven't had the time. And I know I can use pencils, so it's sort of like starting all over again, and I don't want to do that. If that makes sense. I hope everyone is safe and well at the moment with everything that's going on at the moment. I'm an essential worker here in Australia, so I'm still working, which I'm incredibly grateful and thankful for, because it gives me a bit of a break from being at home. I could imagine those that are stuck at home, it would be really difficult. So I really hope you're safe. So now that the skin is done, we're going to start with pencil. So I've got Prismacolors as usual all here. So first one I'm going to start with is Peach. If you can see that, yeah. And basically what we're going to start doing is creating our shadows where we want to create contrasting colours in a skin. I'm not pushing hard, I'm just sort of going round and round in little circles as I colour. I don't know if I'm going to come over and maybe put some eye makeup up on her, so I won't put too much yet. I haven't quite decided. Now, I've done it both ways, where I've done rosy cheeks and not rosy cheeks. So I think I'm going to go not rosy cheek for the moment. And I might change my mind, we'll see. I always go in with the plan and then then halfway through I go, no, I'm going to change my mind. Now I'm going to do a nose as well, but I'm just going to start all these other bits because the nose can be quite a bit of detail, and I'd rather get the easy parts that I'm good at out of the way. Alright, so next colour is Nectar. Nectar, yeah. At the moment, the main thing that you want to be doing is building up those layers. I've got quite a few colours here, just because it's me and I use a lot of colours, and yeah. So next colour I'm going to add is Parma Violet, which seems a little bit weird for some people on skin tone, but I find purple works so well to create shadows in skin tone. I've also used some of like the black grapes and that sort of stuff from the Prismacolors in my pictures, which works really well as well. So, oh no, I'm actually don't have Parma Violet. I've got Lilac. I lie. These are the same colours I used on her other skin, so I'm not going to swap over to the Parma Violet because I want the skin to look the same, but I usually use Parma Violet. I got Lilac out today by accident though. Oh well, we improvise. I try not to do too much purple, otherwise then you can really tell like that purple tone in your picture, but it just helps to sort of create more of that shadow for you. Okay. Next I've got burnt ochre. And it sort of goes over a little bit of the purple that I just added. Okay, I've also got dark umber here. I'm only really using it for like highlighting shadows and stuff, so it's not going to go on a lot of it, but because I want to sort of create a little bit of that shadow from like her hair coming over her face, that's why I'm adding it in here. I'm only quite light though. You don't want to go too dark, it's going to look silly. But yeah, we're sort of aiming for this sort of colour. Now I'm going to go over it a little bit more with some more nectar, sort of colouring in circles at the moment. Next I've got white. So what I'm going to do now with the white is lighten up the areas that I want to lighten, so that when I keep adding more layers, it's going to stay that lighter colour. So I'm just putting a little bit of white here in her chin, because that's where I want some highlight to be, and then a little bit here. I do this a lot when I use marker, is, I find it easier to then add in the white, because it's not going to always go completely white because you've got the marker underneath. And so for me, I prefer it as a good sort of way to add white without it going too white, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. It's been a big week in our house, so I apologise if that doesn't quite make sense. Okay. I'm just using the white to lighten up just around her mouth. Sorry, I'm just working out which pencil I'm going to do this next bit in. I'm just doing a little sort of semicircle. With the peach at the moment, but I'll add other colours in shortly, to create a little bit of a shadow for a chin. I've now got the burnt ochre. You can just slightly see it. It looks so much better in real life. I'm now using dark umber, very lightly. I don't know why I whispered that, but anyway. As you can see it a little bit better now that we've added in just that really light smidge of the dark umber. using peach again. Sorry, I'm trying to not just let my hands and pencils take over. I tend to do that sometimes where they do what they, I just let go, and I always feel I colour better like that. But it's hard to do a tutorial like that. You guys aren't actually going to learn anything if I'm not telling you what I'm doing. Got light peach. There seems like there's something on her face here. I think I must have had a pencil or something on there. I don't know. Could have been my son. I have no idea. So I'm sort of just using the light peach to blend a little bit at the moment. I don't know what that little line is. It's driving me insane. My inner perfectionist is coming out, eh? I'm using peach at the moment. The lilac. Apologies if I just went super quiet. My husband came in the room and I didn't want to start talking and then lose my focus of what I was talking about. So, yeah, so I just shut up instead. Back with the burnt ochre at the moment. I'm just going over and darkening up some of those shadows again. So with the dark umber at the moment, I'm sort of colouring on the black line, if that makes sense. So it's just sort of kissing the very edge. Okay, now for the trickier part, because I've only done this twice so far, so I hope I don't mess it up and I hope I explain it properly, is doing the eyes, adding a nose. I definitely need some sleep. I wish I knew what this little mark on her face is, because it's seriously driving me insane. Alrighty. So, my biggest piece of advice, especially if you're doing Hannah Lynn's pictures, is that little black line there. I try to make that part of the nose when I'm drawing it on. So it doesn't look like there's just a random line. I actually add it into part of the nose as well, and I try and darken up that bottom part of the nose so it doesn't actually look like, it looks like I've drawn the whole thing. It's not just part of the actual image to begin with. So I always try and make sure I start from where that little line is. Okay, I'm a bit nervous about doing this on camera. I don't know why. Alright, I'm going to start with just the burnt ochre to begin with, and only really lightly to begin with, just to get the shape. So the way I've been drawing mine is sort of doing like a sideways oval to begin with, but not actually filling it all the way in, if you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I don't know if you guys can see, it's very light at the moment what I've done, but I don't want to actually, so I've done like a line this way and a line this way, and I don't want to actually fill in that little blank space between it. I want to leave that without the line joining up for the moment. So now I've got the dark umber. I was going to call it dark ochre. Goodness, Danny, you need some sleep. So I've just used the nectar to sort of do some shadow lines of the shape of the nose. Sorry, just repositioning. Actually, I'm going to get a little bit of white, and then like I did earlier where I added white to the bits that I want a bit lighter, I'm doing the same. So through this part of the nose, I want it that touch lighter, and then a little dot of it here on her nose. I'm actually pushing a bit harder for that bit, but then through up here, it's light. I'm pushing lighter, just so you're aware of what I'm doing. Sorry if I was just off screen a bit. This is why I need to set up a tripod or something. One day. Danny says she's going to do these things and then it doesn't happen, but one day. Sorry, I'm not doing more explaining. A lot of this nose stuff is fairly new to me, so it's sort of hard for me to say too much at the moment. So I'm just doing 2 little white lines so I can put a little bit of darkness in between them to create that shadow on the upper lip. So I know you can't sort of tell on the video where I added that white, but because I did add that white, if I start going over it, it's not going to, like if I mess up and go too far, because the white's already there, it sort of creates a barrier for if you do go a bit further, it's, you know, the white it's not going to look ridiculous because the white's already there to sort of, yeah, mean that you're not going to stuff it up, I suppose, if that's the right word that I'm looking for. Maybe I shouldn't do tutorials when I'm really quiet, really tired, and when I can't talk. Oh dear. I really hope everyone's been, as I started to sort of talk a little bit about before, I hope everyone's safe with all this coronavirus stuff going on. Looking after yourselves, keeping well, but also keeping entertained. It's in Australia, I thought we had it difficult, and the more I read and find out about other countries and the restrictions they've got, a lot of the other countries seem to have a lot more restrictions on everything at the moment, whilst world's sort of gone on hold. I've read like there's some countries that don't even have any restaurants open, no takeout or anything, whereas we do have that stuff here, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are really grateful for. Yeah, we've obviously got restrictions, but there's still a lot of things that are operational here. So I think when you hear about that from other countries, you really got to put some things in perspective. Where we've been very blessed that it didn't hit Australia as quickly as it did other countries. So we've been able to sort of learn from those mistakes.